Mulder is called in to negotiate with the man who has taken people hostage at a travel agency. Why? He claims he's been abducted multiple times by aliens and is terrified at the possibility of being abducted once again.
If he takes his hostage to the abduction site, maybe, just maybe, he won't be taken himself.
This is not happening.
His name's Duane Barry. He's armed with a 9mm Smith & Wesson handgun, 1 9-round magazine. It is our belief that he's prepared to use the gun and not afraid to die.
What does he want?
Safe passage for himself and his original hostage, a shrink named Hackey.
Passage to where?
He's bent on taking the doctor with him to an alien abduction site, only he can't quite remember where the site is, so he stopped at a travel agency.
Is he lucid?
Yes, but he's off his medication, so he's manic. Ranting about scoop mark scars on his body, homing devices, and a lot of other nonsense.
Like what?
This whole alien abduction business, which I guess you know something about.
Yeah, but I've never been in a hostage negotiation before.
Oh, we'll take you through it. Agent Rich is our advisory commander. He and I will be coaching you.
What Mr. Barry needs right now is a friend, someone who appears to understand him and can appeal to his sense of reason.
Do we know anything about his abduction experiences?
You really believe in this stuff, Agent Mulder?
Is that a problem?
We're here to save lives. You'll begin negotiations immediately. Every 3 hours, we'll reevaluate your progress and let our tactical commander advise and update on the use of force.
Welcome back, lovely listeners, to This Is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast. I am Andrew, and with me tonight, as usual, is Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, listeners. I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm well. I'm ready to play the best drinking game ever. Are you?
Yeah, let's do it.
The drinking game tonight, because we are reviewing the episode called Duane Barry, Season 2, Episode 5. The game is every time you hear the words Duane Barry.
Duane Barry!
You take a drink.
Okay, I can do that. I got my lemonade here.
Perfect. It comes up an awful lot in the episode, and I suspect it's going to come up a lot as we talk about it. So get ready. And listeners at home can play along. If you've got alcohol, that'll make it probably more entertaining, and you may have a hard time going to work tomorrow.
And the good news for you guys is if you are hitting it a little too hard, you can play it at half speed, so you can space it out a little bit.
It may take 4 hours to get through the podcast, but it'll be worth it.
It'll be a good night.
We could even do our bit in slow motion.
We could do that.
This episode written by Chris Carter. All right.
Oh, boy.
Written by Chris Carter and directed by Chris Carter, his directorial debut.
Yeah. That's exciting.
It's pretty exciting. I mean, this is really the most unfiltered Chris Carter experience you're going to have because it's his writing, it's his show, it's his vision, and he directs it.
Yeah, with some notes from David Nutter, I'm to believe.
Yeah.
He basically worked in tandem with him to give him pointers. And yeah, Chris Carter had a vision with this episode. And this was probably a good one for him to start out on since it's just the one location.
Well, very personal. I would gather he actually has talked to people who have had abduction experiences to get some credibility for this episode. And it comes through. I mean, it's harrowing. Especially the performance by, what's his name, John Railsback?
Steve Railsback.
Steve Railsback, exactly. And to me, he makes this performance, this episode work because of that performance. It's so amazing.
Yeah. And I just want to get some of these out of the way since the episode's great. I don't want to really interrupt our conversation.
Are you going to tell us who else played in?
Yeah,
in this
I'm just going to tell everyone right up front who's in this. So we got Steve Railsback. He plays Ed Gein, and in Ed Gein, the Ed Gein story, a true story about serial killer Ed Gein of the Ed Gein family.
This is not the Ed Gein drinking game, Mike. What are you doing?
I know. No, he was also Charles Manson in Helter Skelter.
And was the episode cool. was that show called Charles Manson? Because that would be a kind of a running gag that he just plays, characters, and the episodes are titled.
He is playing nut jobs.
Yeah, well, does a good nut job.
Helter Skelter. Then there is the inimitable CCH Pounder.
Oh, yeah. So good.
Just before her small stint on ER, this woman is fierce. She's awesome in this episode. I love her performance.
She gets an Emmy nomination for her portrayal in this.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah,
amazing.
she well deserved too, because not only did she get that, but Chris Carter got one for his achievement in writing too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So,
amazing.
Good on both of them. She, by the way, is still killing it. I think her most
yeah.
recent project was Avatar: Way of the Water.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's signed on for the rest of them, because I thought I saw that on IMDb, but
She would like to make lots of money, and she will.
yeah. The only other people I want to mention real quick, Dr. Hackey is played by Frank C. Turner, and we saw him in, as you guessed it, another doctor in Tombs, who recommends he be freed.
There's no facial hair in that one, which is why we don't really recognize him.
Last one, Stephen E. Miller plays the TAC commander. We saw him, actually, we've seen him already in the pilot, and then all the way to the second film, he's got another couple credits. So
Okay, so he's
we'll
in it
see
now.
him again.
Okay. Well, shall we start talking about Duane Barry?
I can't wait.
Take
Let's
a
do
drink.
this.
Yeah, there you go.
Duane Barry.
We open in Pulaski, Virginia, June 3rd, 1985. The camera settles onto a suburban house on a windy night, crickets chirping in the background as some lightly ominous music sets the stage. Inside the house, the camera tracks through a shabby interior, rooms apparently in some form of renovation, and we hear the sounds of a movie on in the background. The movie is A Kinetic Yankee in King Arthur's Court, 1949, starring Bing Crosby. Camera continues to track through the house, and we see a dog wandering along with us, eventually sitting on the bed next to his owner, Duane Barry, asleep. Suddenly, the broadcast goes out, replaced by static, and Mark Snow's music alerts us that all is not right. The dog surveys the room, and we see shadowy forms behind the plastic tarp of walls that have not yet been completed. The dog flees the room, and Duane awakes, gasping that he can't breathe, as a bright light fills the room. Duane Barry looks left and right, seeing alien silhouettes behind the plastic of the walls, and he's filled with pain, gasping, "No, no, not again." He screams in horror as the camera pans back, showing us the alien greys are now at his bedside, looking on in his pitiable state. Outside, the dog barks as the house is lit by a column of light emanating from an alien spacecraft floating above. Cut to credits. What do you think, Mike?
I'm intrigued. To be fair and objective, it is a very basic opening for like the abduction scenario. I don't mean any offense by that. I think it's
What, do you not like the show or something?
no. I meant like the idea of the alien abduction, middle of the night, being awoken and
Sure.
ship above the house, that kind of thing. So it's the image we've all had painted for us by various people and the stories we've read throughout the years. So I'm on board, and I'm excited to see what happens.
The one thing I got to say is that Duane's neighbors must sleep very soundly to miss all of this. I mean, does nobody call bylaw in Pulaski to complain about noise and light after 1 a.m?
Well, by now they've bought the light canceling shades, right? I mean, this just happens so frequently. They're like, man,
honey,
fuck
what's
this
that?
guy.
What's that? Is that Duane Barry again?
He can't breathe again.
Oh my God.
The floodlights going.
Being abducted again. Oh, jeez. I got to get to work in the morning.
Can we have them equip their ship with an infrared light, please?
Honestly.
Could you guys come down here for a minute, please?
Duane, we were wondering if maybe you'd like to move out to the country where it's more easy to be abducted.
Take my trailer, please. Just take it. Here's
I know you've had a hard life, but... Well, after the credits, we are in the hall of the Davis Correctional Treatment Center in Marion, Virginia, present day. Duane Barry is escorted by a security officer to his doctor's office for an appointment. This is Dr. Del Hackey, who confronts Duane about Duane refusing to take his medicine. We see that Duane Barry's hands are bound. He's obviously a guy with problems. We learn that Duane Barry... Okay, I'll stop because it's going to get really annoying after a while. We learn that Duane has hurt people in the past.
I'm already drunk.
We learn that he has hurt people in the past, that he hears voices. Duane responds that he's not crazy. He's not like the other inmates. And most importantly, that they are coming again and are going to take Duane back to the place. Going forward, it's notable that Duane always refers to himself in the third person, Duane Barry. Mm-hmm. So Dr. Hackey goes to give Duane a shot to help him rest, but Duane is not having any of it. He takes a shot at escape, walking away and knocking at the security guard, grabbing his gun. An alarm goes off, and Duane takes Dr. Hackey hostage, fleeing the institution.
It escalates pretty quickly.
Sure does. Like, he knows what's going to happen here. Has he been planning it, you think?
I think he's got this level of, he's been explaining the same thing to the same people for so long. So he's probably in a desperation mode because now he's got the signal that they're coming back and that he's going to go somewhere. And he's tired of people not listening to him. So he's
got no choice.
Obviously. He feels like he's got no choice. And that's part of his mental instability at this point. Mm-hmm. And partially, his desperation to just have someone believe him. I go back to Brian Markinson in Folie à Deux when he's not necessarily crazy, but he just wants someone to believe in him so desperately. And I think that's kind of displayed here. So
a lot of parallels between the two episodes, because you've got the same kind of setup where, you've got this hapless villain, who's been sort of put into this situation by circumstances.
Right. And no one believes him, and then eventually they do, so it's kind of cool.
No one believes him. Well, we cut to a large swimming pool. Alec Krychek walks onto the scene, and Krychek hails Mulder, and a red Speedo-clad wearing Mulder emerges from the pool. The Speedo is conspicuously tight, and Krychek brings him up to speed on an emerging hostage situation. The hostage taker has 4 people at gunpoint and claims he's being controlled by aliens, which really explains why the powers that be might want Mulder to intervene.
Yeah, it's unusual, right? So he's surprised people are asking for him, but then their motive for asking him is just because Duane Barry believes he's being called by aliens. And who else are you going to call but Mulder?
Well, it's interesting though. Like, it does make sense. It does make sense to call him for this. But he does say, "Look, I've never done a hostage negotiation," and we'll get into it a bit later. But I think the motivation for calling him is not altogether
sound.
It's
sound. I buy it.
At the hostage scene, we see a strong presence by law enforcement. Uniforms and tactical officers have surrounded Travel Time in downtown Richmond, Virginia. Mulder and Krychek rush to the command center where people look very busy and tense. Our camera lingers on CCH Pounder playing the role of Lusty Kasdan, negotiation commander. She brings them up to speed. Duane Barry, armed with a handgun, not afraid to die. Barry wants to go back to the site where he was abducted by aliens, only he couldn't quite remember where it was, so he stopped off at a travel agency. That line by CCH Pounder, so good.
Yeah. She commands quite the presence here. She's in charge. She knows what she's doing, and she gives the presence of no bullshit, but at the same time she's approachable. It's weird, but she rides that line of knowing who's in charge, her obviously, and still communicating with some ease to other people.
Oh, she earns this Emmy for sure. Well, the nomination. I don't think she
nomination.
Won. Yeah,
unfortunately.
Duane Barry is lucid but off his meds, so he's manic. Mulder explores it a bit further, making Kasdan and her second command, Special Agent Rich, all the more skeptical about Mulder. Kasdan is quick to dismiss Barry as a psycho, not interested in exploring Barry's claims, but of course, Mulder thinks there's more to the case. Mm-hmm. All right. At this point, I want to point something out. Yep. I think it's worth noting that the editor has chosen to do some weird post-edit close-ups in this episode. Did you notice these? And also an assumption?
Bad quality film?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just a weird zoom or if it's they just had 2 cameras and they did the takes and one of them was not. Either that or the upscaling they do for streams just wasn't properly handled in this episode. I don't know.
Well, I think what it is the editor has something in mind about what he wants. Like, there's somebody who's speaking who is your key character. And in this case, it's CCH Pounder, and we've got Mulder kind of responding. And he's blown up. Like, it's obviously zoomed in on in this frame. And I think they've done it to sort of match the size of his face to CCH Pounder's face.
It could
because I think they probably only got enough coverage of him in kind of a medium shot. There's a cop beside him, and they wanted to crop it
to make sure he was in the frame.
Yeah,
and that makes
it's not
sense.
jarring. But to me, it's just jarring because it looks so bad. But,
It's jarring because the quality is so very, very different.
yeah,
in those
And
shots. So
unfortunately, I think that highlights the fact that Chris Carter is a first-time director and didn't get
block
all
his scene.
the coverage he needed.
Come on, Chris.
Come on, do better, man. He does do a couple more episodes in the future.
Because this time you're going with Duane Barry. So you can see what it's like. That it's real!
Duane? Yeah? This is Special Agent Fox Mulder. Look, I want to try to help you.
Yeah? Well, we're just sitting here waiting for travel plans.
I think I know what you're going through, Duane. I just want to make sure you get what you want and that Bob, Kimberly, Gwen, and Dr. Hackey don't get hurt.
You know what I'm going through? You think you know what Duane Barry's going through? You don't know Jack!
I know you're scared, Duane. And that you'd like to see this all come out right.
Yeah, right. So they can put me back in the nut house. Where I belong.
And we're only concerned about your safety, Duane. You and the others.
Hey, what's your name? Mulder? I know the routine. Honesty, containment, conciliation. Am I missing something?
You need someone to trust, Duane. I know a lot of people who've been through similar experiences.
You want to do something for me, Agent Mulder? You keep your dogs on a leash. You try to gas me out or do anything stupid. These people die. They're not taking me again. You got it? They can take somebody else.
Nobody's gonna try anything, Duane. Who is this guy? He's FBI, isn't he?
Mulder hasn't figured out that this isn't any random lunatic. I love his line. It's like, who is this guy?
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
He's FBI.
Kasdan reveals that Duane Barry is indeed former FBI and that, yes, the FBI would like this handled quietly and cleanly to avoid bad press.
Are we going to gloss over the fact that Barry's peeking in on the operation that's going on here? If I have to complain about something, it's going to be
They're
that.
real close, aren't they? Yeah.
It's like, okay, so you want him to know everything you're doing and who's talking to him? How's this procedure? How's this going?
Yeah, that
Seemed a little strange.
It's a weird cutaway. I'll give it. But I think what it's trying to say is, I don't know, like, why do we need to see him see Mulder? Because the other thing is, if he has made that connection that that's the guy I'm talking to, then when Mulder shows up in paramedic gear later,
it's kind of pointless.
yeah, it's like, you're the guy on the phone. I know what you're doing here. Right. Anyway, they have a bit of a back and forth about how if they just wanted somebody to read the script, the negotiation script, and why bring Mulder out here. And it's really a point they don't elaborate on. It makes sense to bring Mulder. He believes in alien abduction, and Kasdan gives him this line of, you can just keep him talking. If you want to talk alien abduction, spacemen, that's fine with me. Mm-hmm. But then later on, she does the exact opposite. She says, don't feed into his fantasies.
Don't feed into it. Yeah. It's a little bit wishy-washy with that. I don't know if she just wants to entertain his ranting about aliens or just not say anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, there's a fine line where I guess you could entertain his talk without feeding into it, by listening. But, obviously Mulder takes it to the next step.
Yeah, you might be on the spot needing to say something. And if that's the case, then Mulder's the guy because he's versed in it. But I think the answer to the question might be to walk backwards and go, who recommended Mulder for this? Mm-hmm. It's never established, who said Mulder had to be there. Could have been Skinner, I suppose, but could have also been like Cigarette Smoking Man.
It's one of those things where it's ambiguous. And we are probably led to believe this is all being set up by CSM and the syndicate.
Mulder elaborates on alien abduction stories, taking them to task on their ineffective approach. We have a nice gag where Krychek asks Kasdan if he can be useful, and she sends him on a coffee run.
That should get her the award
Right
by
there.
itself.
You got your notepad? Oh, God. Well, meanwhile, Scully is watching the situation on the news when she gets a call from Mulder. He needs the background information on Duane Barry. What happened to him? During the call, the power goes out on the block, sending everyone into darkness. There's a bright light that fills the area, and then shots are fired. Duane Barry. After the commercial, Kasdan reveals that an electrical substation blew. There's no power up and down the block. Mulder calls Duane to find out what's happening, and we see that Baldy has been shot, to which Duane admits he needs medical help. I guess you better send a doctor.
I like this scene. It's like the worst thing that could happen, right? At this possible moment is that power to blow. And now we've raised the stakes by accident. And I think that's kind of cool.
So I ask you, is this a natural power outage or is it caused by aliens? Because that lights on business.
Natural. If he meant for us to believe that this was interference by beings or CSM or someone, it's too much for me.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't amount to anything.
I mean, it's one 6 of one, half a dozen the other. At one point, it's too convenient that happened naturally, and then on the other hand, if it was orchestrated, it's too contrived. So. This is all right. I'll take it. I would take this over the CSM or syndicate setup.
I kind of wish there wasn't the bright light sequence. If it was just the power going out and then the red emergency lights maybe coming on in the hostage situation, I think that would have been better. But this whole surge of white light that has everybody closing their eyes, like that didn't make sense because that really is meant to make you think that the aliens have just visited.
Right.
And that has absolutely no consequence. Although Mulder does go on to say, we had missing time, I checked. And I think maybe he's just shining him on to...
It might be because I just never bought it that way. I don't know.
Yeah, it's possibly...
I realize there is a direction that we're supposed to be going, but I'm just going to chalk it up to coincidence.
It's one of the very few things about this episode I don't like. I'm really okay to give this one a pass because there's so much other good stuff. But
yeah, exactly. And it's not like it's bad. It's just not needed.
You could cut it and you wouldn't even question it. Yeah.
Move on with the episode, you know? I love this scene with Mulder.
Yeah. We move to a gearing up scene where Mulder is prepped to go in. He gets a wireless microphone and an earpiece so he can hear the command center. He and a medic are going in to help the shot hostage and gain any intel they can. He's not to buy into Duane Barry's fantasy, which of course can make him the absolute worst candidate for this job. And wouldn't Duane recognize Mulder's voice? Or potentially what he looks like? I mean, he saw him out the window. But anyway, as they're about to leave, the tactical commander, Stephen Miller, mentions that there are 3 snipers out there. Anything Mulder can do to get him to the front door, they can take him out. So we're setting up our stakes here.
I just want to comment a little bit on the gearing up scene.
Yeah.
Where the camera is just circling Mulder and you
Lots
can
of nice
see,
crossfades, yeah.
Yeah, you can see people putting a bulletproof vest on him, putting in the earpiece. He's getting a briefing by the TACCOM, and you can see the tension rising in his eyes. He's like, did I really just sign myself up for this? I've never been in such a dire situation necessarily like this. So he looks a little nervous, but I just like the whole setup here we got going.
It's very good. Like, it's nicely paced to make us think, what is he getting into here? Like, this is courting danger in a way that you don't really see him do.
Yeah.
Although he did jump into some turd water in the host. I suppose he's pretty good at courting danger.
Yeah. I mean,
Mulder. Sorry.
Never mind. Keep going. It's going to make more poop jokes. No one needs that.
No, we've already dropped all the poop jokes we need to drop in previous episode. Yeah. Mulder and Janice are admitted into the travel center. Duane searches the duo and their gear, proving that he is a formidable opponent. Mulder starts to reason with Duane Barry, and we can see that they're listening in back at the command center. Janice treats Baldy as Mulder asks Duane to release the others. Mulder starts to buy into Duane's fantasy, revealing that they lost time, and we're treated to a flashback of Duane in bed being examined by the alien Greys. Back in the travel center, Duane is hyperventilating and mistrusting Mulder. Despite Kasdan orders, Mulder lays it all out. He's talked to other people, other abductees. And after a long moment, Duane decides to release Baldy, but he's trading him for Mulder. Agent Janice and Baldy leave, but Mulder stays.
Yeah, probably not what Mulder was going for. However,
Yeah.
I think he's bought in on believing this guy and wanting to get his story out there and maybe help him if he can.
We don't see the reaction in Mulder that he's like, oh no, I blew it this time.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, Fox, what did you do this time? Rather, I think that he's okay with it because he knows that there is truth here, and he's kind of never really been this close to it. So, like, this is maybe the abduction experience that has the most validity that he's heard. So, I don't know. I don't think that he is totally against it.
No, I think half of him wants to leave, and half of him is really, really bent on understanding Duane Barry, and again, I think not contributing to his psychosis or what is perceived to be psychosis, and maybe helping him if he can. So
yeah. Duane Barry confronts Mulder. Now let's see how good a liar you are. Mulder reveals that his sister was abducted, and Duane wants some honesty. He wants some respect. He's tired of all the BS. Mulder drops more abduction details, what an alien abduction experience looks and feels like, to the horror of Kasdan, who thinks Mulder's going to push Barry over the edge. Yikes. She asks for some eyes in the room. She wants to know what's going on in there. Amidst Mulder's recollections, we get a few intercuts of Duane's experiences. We see that he is levitated upwards from his bed into a ship. Duane tells Mulder of his abductions. They talk to him, but they don't speak. They can read Duane's mind. They know what he's saying, but they just don't listen. They just go right on about their business, running their tests. God, I love the way this guy speaks. He's so intense. It's just such a character moment, right?
He almost just talks about it like it's routine, and he's relaying a story, but there's such conviction behind it. He's just so good. Railsback does a great job.
And I don't think it's an accident that he refers to himself in the third person. I think that he's telling the story like it's happening to somebody else. Like maybe this is a survival mechanism for him.
It probably is. You know, with trauma, you want to remove yourself as much as you can. So I'm sure in his visions and remembrances of what's actually happened to him, he probably views himself as an outsider looking at him.
Yeah. Didn't happen to me.
Not to get too weird, but yeah.
It's crazy. Well, in one of the more frightening flashback sequences, we see that Duane is strapped to an eerie-looking table surrounded by Greys who use what looks like something like a laser to drill holes in Duane Barry's teeth. Now, I got to tell you, growing up, I had some not great dental experiences, so this sequence really made me cringe.
It's terrifying. I think this is another one of those scenes that everyone's heard of. Yeah. And this is dark, and it brings it to life in a very scary way. You know, there are movies like Fire in the Sky that have similar-ish type things, but this one, it's a little rougher, I think. Seeing that drill come down and telescope down towards his eye, his mouth, that's frightening.
Well, apparently this is one of the experiences that Chris Carter either had the personal connection with.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, this is him bringing it into the script. So no wonder it's terrifying. I mean, I don't think this happened to Chris Carter. I think this happened to somebody. No.
And again, grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen. But what I was able to find on the internet, as did Andrew, I'm sure, was that he had a neighbor who relayed some abduction stories. The jargon at the end, towards the end of the episode, where CCH Pounder gives Mulder the implant, and she says that the dentist who observed the drill holes in Duane Barry's teeth says it could not have been done with anything in modern equipment. So apparently that is a line dropped from Chris Carter's neighbor.
Could be bullshit.
And it could very well be bullshit. But
makes
he
for good
claims,
TV.
if I read it correctly, the guy claims that the dentist he went to told him that. So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Very. We have a nice cut back to the present day with the SWAT team using a hand drill to slowly bore a hole through the wall into the room with the hostages. So nice little segue from laser drill to hand drill. Back in the command center, Scully calls in, ended up talking to Alex Krychek, where she learns that Mulder has traded himself for one of the hostages. She impresses upon Krychek that Mulder has to get extracted from that situ immediately, or he is absolutely, definitely going to be killed, because Duane Barry is not what Mulder thinks he is.
Scully being Scully, no
A
faith.
little bit dramatic there, eh? He's going to be killed.
There's no way he can talk his way out of a hostage situation.
I mean, what has he got in common with his guy? Alien abduction. Pff,
I have zero faith in Mulder's capabilities. Get him out of there.
Firebomb the room. Like, he'll survive. Everybody
throw
else
a
will die,
grenade
but
in there.
Mulder will walk free because he's got plot armor.
He's good at getting out of tight situations.
He sure is. After the commercial, Mulder has earned Duane Barry's trust. As Duane seems calmer, he continues to tell Mulder his stories of abduction.
I was just going to say, I like the vacancy in Duane Barry's eyes. When you cut back from commercial, he's just staring off into space and just relating to Mulder what it feels like and his experiences. And it's just touching. Like, it's very deep. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah,
Oh, this is my favorite scene of the episode.
How old was your sister when they took her?
She was 8.
I've seen kids sometimes. Young girls.
What are they doing to them?
Doing tests. You know. Testing them. They tell them not to cry.
Are they hurting them?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it hurts real bad. And, you just want to die, you know? You know what it's like, sir? It's like living with a gun to your head. And never know when it's gonna go off.
You can let the others go, Duane. Let the others go and take me.
Oh, they heard you talking like that. They're gonna have your ass.
I don't care about that, Duane.
No, I wouldn't do that to you. Besides, Doc and I got an appointment. Ain't that right, Doc?
Because
it's so good.
The vulnerability is so exposed. And it's that thing of, this guy's the villain, but you want to, you want him to escape this horrible torment that he's in, right?
Exactly.
And the connection that he's going to make with Mulder is so, it's not fun, but there is a real connection there that they have been making.
Yeah, and in this scene specifically, they're talking as equals now.
Yeah.
Duane Barry knows who he is. He knows, hey, I don't want you talking like that. They're going to have your ass if they get you saying these things. And it's friendly, and it's, they're at a point where they trust each other, at least a little bit. And he trusts Mulder enough at this point to open up and be candid with him and not scream in his face. And I think that's really, really cool.
Well, and it makes the ending of this sequence even more powerful.
Emotional, yeah.
Yeah, when we get to that. So Duane says that his experience is unbearable, that it's like living with a gun to your head, never knowing when it's going to go off. Mulder again tries to convince Duane to release the other hostages, that Duane can take Mulder instead, and it comes off as sincere. Mulder wants to see, wants to believe. In one of the more tender moments of the episode, Duane says, well, they hear you talking like that, they'll have your ass. Mulder says, I don't care about that. And I love that moment because you
believe it.
You know what he's really saying is, I want to see what you see. I need to see what you see. But he doesn't, I don't care about that is not, I don't care about my job. It's something else.
And that's not a throwaway line.
Not at all.
His peers could probably talk that away as much as they want if they really wanted to. Scully could invalidate it as just talk. But we know as the viewer, Mulder would in a heartbeat. Yeah. Go with Duane.
And that's all capped off by Duane saying, "No, I wouldn't do that to you." He's saying, "I'm not going to inflict the kind of horror and pain that I'm experiencing on you, who has taken the time and effort to try and understand me." That's kind of how I read it. And I thought that was
another big line, right?
Huge.
He's developed this bond with this man he's never met, but because he's taken the time to listen to him and relate to him, he's not going to subject him to that. He wants to still take Dr. Hackey or someone else.
Well, he wants to take Dr. Hackey there because Dr. Hackey's done nothing but disbelieve him and pump full of drugs.
This guy's getting it, man.
This guy needs to see it.
I got a dental table waiting for you, sir.
The things that are going to happen to you, you're going to regret not believing me. Well, meanwhile, the SWAT team has inserted their camera through the drilled-in hole and have eyes on the situation. Scully has finally arrived with a fuss and brings some information to Kasdan. She elaborates on Duane's mental health history. Gunshot left him with a brain injury that makes him incapable of functioning in society. Scully brings up the famous case of Gage, who is the inspiration for the episode. A similar injury rendered Gage a pathological liar, incapable of telling the truth, and we're all now super worried that Mulder has been fooled completely and sewn up into Duane Barry's false reality.
I do want to say, didn't do a whole lot of research on Phineas Gage. I am aware of the story. I think that's made up.
Well, the story is true.
The story is true, but him being a pathological liar and untrustworthy, I think that's complete horseshit.
Well, I think the deal is that there's a part of his brain which is chopped in half and he didn't die. Mm-hmm. And the noteworthy thing is kind of the effect it had on his behavior. I don't think it
his
made him
behavior
a liar.
Took a turn for sure. Like he was not the same person that people knew him to be.
Yeah.
So
they have taken liberties.
Very much so.
Meanwhile, Duane is now telling Mulder that the government is in on the alien abduction conspiracy, that agents are present in the room when tests are conducted. Duane's flashbacks show human men in suits present during Duane's abductions. Mulder begins to steer Duane back to reality, suggesting that Duane's going to have to tell them what he wants to do. Duane repeats that he just wants to go back to the place where this all started, a mountain that went up and up, ascending to the stars. His plan is to go back and offer up Dr. Hackey in his place. Scully now comes on the line, speaking into Mulder's ears, revealing to Mulder the truth about Duane Barry. Undeterred, Mulder asks how the aliens find Duane every time. And Duane tells Mulder about the implants in his gums, his sinus cavities, and one in his abdomen, which he shows. Scully impresses on Mulder that Barry might snap. He needs to move towards a resolution. Mulder asks Duane to release the women, and Duane agrees, sending the women off. As they're leaving, one of the hostages, Kimberly, takes the opportunity to tell Duane that she believes him before she leaves.
That's a nice...
I think that moment, I thought that was really a nice touch.
It is.
I mean, it's certainly the episode trying to tell us that, I don't know, there's more to this than just this brain injury. There's something here.
Mm-hmm. I think it's cool to have a random person who's been listening into this whole situation just validate her captor.
Yeah.
In a very much not Stockholm Syndrome way. It's, hey, dude, I'm a believer too. So,
or that you have convinced me, with
that could be
what you have been saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's a neat touch. It's great for her because she gets paid as, a full extra, not just silent on camera.
That was an improv. She got paid.
God damn it, Francis! You're not supposed to have any lines.
I'm gonna be an extra in a movie, and I'm just gonna say something they can't cut.
This is my shot. I'm gonna say something.
They're gonna shoot me a look as they hand me that check. You bastard.
Well, it's good though. I guess we'll use it.
It was good though.
Yeah.
Kudos.
This is your chance. Outside, the cops move into position, and Scully lets Mulder know it's gonna happen. Duane and Mulder discuss Duane's next moves when a laser target shows up on Duane's neck. A sniper is taking aim. Mulder rescues Duane Barry. I have to start saying his double name because that's who he is. He rescues him from certain death by telling him to come closer. The sniper loses his shot. He's probably cursing Mulder in the process. Mulder asks Duane if he's making any of this up, completely destroying any trust Duane Barry had in Mulder.
It's so painful.
Yeah.
It's with just that simple question, he just annihilates the entire foundation of their relationship.
What they have built, yeah. It's like, oh, you think I'm making this up? And his unraveling is so good, you know. It's like, even as it starts to happen, you can see Mulder's like, oh shit.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done this. I regret this immediately.
You're right. No, I believe you. Don't forget anything I just said. Don't go crazy on me now. Desperate in the face of a raving Duane Barry, Mulder manages to convince Duane that the front door is unlocked and that Duane needs to go over there and lock it. Duane slowly complies. Like there's this real moment of, is he going to do this? You know, Mulder's really having to talk him into it. But eventually he does. He wanders over there and puts himself in the crosshairs of a sniper who takes his shot. In the darkness, we hear the chaotic response of law enforcement who rush into the scene.
That's a cool move there.
Not to show us the action.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's different, and it actually is more compelling. Because we know what's happening, but
we don't need to see it. Like the action that we needed to see is all done.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know, it's about the relationship between Duane and Mulder. So it's the resolution as soon as Duane walks into the sniper's view. That's all we needed. It's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
After the commercial, we see Duane is take away an ambulance while Scully and Mulder reconnect. I gotta say, I like how they introduced this scene. Like it's this fuzzy, out of focus look of Duane looking up at his ambulance, you know, the paramedics.
I don't mean to make light of this, but he looks like Jim Carrey at the end of Cable Guy.
Yeah.
When he's Ricky Ricardo. He's just got that look, that vacant look on his eye.
Yeah, he's been done. Scully reassures Mulder that he did the right thing. Mulder admits he believed him. Later at the hospital, Kasdan greets Mulder, where she thanks him for what he did. And Mulder's like, oh, I thought you were here to chew me out. Duane Barry has stabilized, but he's in critical condition where the two go to see him. Mike, I'd like you to remember that Duane Barry was shot by what I'm assuming is a sniper rifle in the chest.
It's not as bad as it sounds, dude.
He almost died, but they stabilized him, and now he's in critical condition.
No. I think they're just kind of zhuzhing it up a little bit. They want to make it sound worse than it is in case he tries to escape. They want him to believe he's actually dying.
True. What happened is his University of Maryland sweatshirt, it's actually got a little bit of Kevlar weaved into it, so it didn't really penetrate. It kind of blew it out.
It went through the stitching of the letters, so there's added resistance.
1 in a million shot, honestly. Like,
really, his locket was under his shirt here, right above the heart.
His piece of the one true cross, just blasted it. Yeah,
just ricocheted.
All right. Well, we'll just keep that in our back pocket to remember that Duane Barry is technically, according to the charts, in critical condition.
I checked on his record with the Bureau. It was exemplary. His accident was something of a mystery. Shot by his own weapon in a drug stakeout. Left for dead in the woods. He was never the same. Lost everything. Wife, kids, house.
The fine thread of sanity.
I actually called you down here for another reason, Agent Mulder. In the x-rays, the surgeon found several pieces of metal. In his gums, in his sinus cavity, and one in the abdomen. I had them checked. I felt you'd want to know. And they were tiny drill holes in his left and right rear molars. A dentist who examined them said they could not have been done with any of the current equipment in use. Not without chipping or damaging the tooth. Anyway, I thought you ought to know.
And the look on Mulder's face, right? He's like, Oh,
I
shit.
love it. You can
Yeah.
see the swivel, because I think by the time they take the shot at Duane Barry,
Yeah.
he's like, okay, maybe this guy is a little full of shit. Maybe he doesn't completely not believe him, but
Yeah.
now Kasdan coming at him with all this information, verifying everything he's saying through implants they've found. And Mulder's just like a kid in the candy store. You see the wheels turning in his head like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah. And Kasdan's like, hey, funny thing.
Yeah, she like,
all those weird implants. Oh, and she says the whole thing with the dentist thing, right? It's
yeah. It's like she's rolling in this hand grenade to Mulder's head. It's like, here you go, suck on this one.
And then she just walks away like, yeah, weird, eh?
Yeah, that's strange.
I'll go back to the bar.
Well, see you later.
So this episode has like 5 endings because we've got Scully and Mulder outside in the ambulance, and Scully's like, oh, you did the right thing. And he's like, oh, I believed him. And we could have ended right there, but we don't.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have Kasdan and Mulder having their big moment where we realize that, wait, maybe there's more to this. Maybe Duane Barry is in fact an alien abductee. Episode could have ended right there.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have yet another ending later. Scully and Mulder connect over the mysterious piece of metal where they discuss whether it's reality or fantasy. And Scully says, I'm going to take this down to ballistics, and they're to clear it right up.
Yep.
But of course, there's no clearing out to be had. The metal does indeed look like shrapnel, but they end up seeing these small markings on the metal that looks like a fine stamp. And later still, Scully's at the supermarket buying pickles and ice cream, a little nod to her pregnancy, where she sees the cashier's barcode scanner at work. And when the cashier walks away, Scully takes the opportunity to scan the mysterious implant on the scanner, where it reacts in an electronic frenzy, and a clearly frazzled Scully leaves the store. So, could have ended there.
We could have ended there.
Yeah.
Little convenient. I don't think that works like that. But I'll take it.
Hold on. Are you questioning the episode?
With love, sir. With love.
I buy it because I think in the little close-up, it's a barcode. I think that's ultimately what they're trying to say is the etching.
It is an etched barcode of sorts, for sure. I just don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't recall like working in a grocery store using a barcode scanner on anything and it just pulling up whatever it is you're like it looks like it's processing something, and that obviously would never happen, but it's effective and it's cool.
It's a really cool moment. I guess I never really thought about it, but yeah, like
it would just error out, or
it shouldn't have just come up with, not on file or something, like
it would just like it would beep
here.
And do nothing pretty much from my experience.
Which, to be honest, would have been just as
implant.
It would have been just as good to have a beep and did nothing, because that would be
it's still a barcode.
There's a barcode there, yeah.
Yeah.
But of course,
either way, this is much cooler.
They need to turn it up to 11 because that's the X-Files.
That's the X-Files.
Well, much later, Duane Barry is asleep in his hospital bed. Camera lingers over his medical equipment. When Mark Snow's sound effects let us know he's been contacted. Light fills the room and alien silhouettes appear beside him, causing him to stand bolt upright to escape. He manages to overpower his security guard outside the room and flees the hospital in his gown. So, critical condition, not so critical.
Yeah. This is the moment, right? We have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah. And I did not, when I saw this the first time, I did not peg that Scully's going to be in danger, that she's the target. I thought Dr. Dell was going to be in trouble.
Yeah. Well, the only thing we have to go on is the end of Sleepless, right? That's it. So unless we're carrying that through this entire episode,
right,
we're really not thinking about it. So
yeah, true. Well, much, much later, so this is our 5th ending now, a storm has come up and we're in Scully's apartment as she calls Mulder, leaving a message on his answering machine. She relates her experiences with the metal implant at the supermarket, admitting that maybe the implant was used to catalog Duane Barry. She hears a noise at her window, goes over to check, and she sees Duane Barry outside in the rain. On Mulder's answering machine, we hear the sounds of violence, complete with Scully's screams for help. To be continued.
That's so good.
Is our episode. Listen, it took a while to get to ending number 5, but I think it pays off.
This is the best way they could have done it. They really, honestly, if you think back to the first time you saw the episode, you did not peg Scully as going away.
No.
Unless you were really, really hanging on to that last scene, like I said, from Sleepless. There's no indication of it in the episode. So,
and to reiterate, the last scene from Sleepless is cigarette smoking man saying, "I've got a way to figure her out."
Yeah,
cigarette.
Him and Krychek are coming up with a plan. So it's just so good. And I'll take the multiple ending feeling.
Yeah.
Because it all gets tied up in a nice little bow, because at the end of the day, Mulder is vindicated, Duane Barry is vindicated, and even Kasdan comes around to, I don't really buy into this, but
she does not come around.
Well, what I'm saying is like she cares enough to be real with Mulder in that moment and be like, hey, I know this means something to you, and I just wanted to let you know this is what we found out. So I think
frankly,
that's cool.
She can't share that with anybody else.
Yeah, no one else is going to give a shit.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, bad dental work? Okay.
No.
Shall we lean into final thoughts?
Yeah, let's do it, sir.
Would you like to begin?
Well, let me see here. We've probably sucked this one off enough already. I'm pretty sure that my mascara is running down my face at this point. But in all seriousness, I think just, wow. This is the moment we've talked about a little bit on this podcast. This is that moment where the show pivots into a genuine and steadfast direction. That chance pregnancy of Gillian Anderson, for better or worse, is now guiding the hand of Chris Carter and company to take the show on a journey. And it's one that became the real foundation of the mythology episodes for 8 more years for the original run. And it's just such a great episode. Something as random as a mental patient taking his doctor hostage in hopes that people will finally believe what he's been saying for years and to rid himself of his nightmares he's been living. It's a simple idea, but they take such compelling turns with it.
Yeah.
And it is helped greatly by the performances of everyone involved. Steve Railsback is such a good actor, especially in this episode. He acts Duane Barry so well. And what gets me about it is that at the end of this and then Ascension coming up, is we feel for Duane Barry. He has put someone that we love, Scully, in peril. And yet we still care about him. I do, at least. I care about what happens to him, and I feel for him because he's a sad person. He's a tragic person. He's not necessarily an evil guy. He does some bad stuff for sure, but at the end of the day, he's a victim himself. Yeah. And he's being guided by outside forces to a major extent. And you feel that. At least I take that into consideration. So I do feel for him. And the scene with Mulder being equipped with the bulletproof vest and the microphone, and it's just, there's so much drama in this episode, but it's done so well. As the episode comes to a close, things have calmed down a little bit. Then CCH Pounder plants this seed in Mulder's head. And the whole episode just kind of comes full circle at that point. So I think all in all, this episode is just a wonderful start. I know we said Erlenmeyer Flask was the first real mythology episode, and I agree with that. But this one's like, all right, this is where we're going. So
it certainly lays the groundwork. Duane Barry's almost offhand comments about, the government is in the room, that there are aliens doing these experiments. They really are, in a way, wonderfully presented as you have no idea whether this is something you're meant to believe, because, when Scully comes around and reveals to Mulder that he's a pathological liar, you then have Duane Barry saying, yeah, the government's in on it. And that comes off as this conspiracy nut stuff, right? So it's easy to dismiss. Only for 2 or 3 seasons from now, we will get the realization that actually, no, this is kind of what Duane Barry was talking about. Even then, this was the seeds of that whole plot line.
It's amazing how far they were able to take this. And is it always spot on and amazing? No. But at the same time, it gave the show more of a purpose. And this was a great launching pad, to be honest. And they took it some very awesome directions in the future. Love it or hate it. We'll see what happens.
Well, I think the thing I like most in this episode is Duane Barry's position as the villain. He's not really in control of his actions. He's being driven by a fear and a madness that is perfectly relatable, given the material that's being presented. And we're given enough flashbacks to be completely on his side. And that trust is slowly chipped away when Scully reveals Duane's mental condition. He's now the unreliable narrator. How much of what he said can we trust? Are we even questioning the flashback sequences that we have been presented? This is Duane's memory being given a scene of its own, but maybe it's a bait and switch.
It's a little bit weird because I very much buy what we see as his flashbacks. I had no reason, even after Scully comes on scene, because she is the skeptic. Yeah. We know she's like in this episode, she's almost thrown in as just an obstacle for Mulder. And that's okay because that's who she is. And she's a skeptic. She's going to try and rationalize her way out of situations and help the situation in any way she can through science and study. The things Mulder doesn't do.
No.
But we know as viewers at this point that she's probably incorrect. There's a chance she's right, but when it comes to paranormal stuff, she's usually not right.
Yes.
And with the way they're setting up Duane Barry in this episode, we have no reason to doubt him at this point. So when we see the flashbacks, I take them as pretty accurate or just dramatic representations of what actually happened to him.
Well, and I do too. I mean, I think that's certainly the way the episode wants you to believe it. There's so much of it there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would think if you removed the flashbacks, maybe you would have the possibility of believing what Scully has said and being like, oh, maybe Duane Barry isn't an abductee. Maybe he really is a pathological liar. So in a sense, so they've overplayed their hand of his abduction to the point where it's like, yeah, Scully can come in and say Mulder's going to be killed because this guy's a liar, but I don't really believe it. You see him in command in a way. So, but I just also want to make a dramatic statement. I think there's nothing really wrong with this episode that can't be explained away. I know that's a little bit rare for me, but there are
Mark it on your calendars, people.
Yeah, there are 2 items that I would draw a line under. The aliens visiting during the hostage scenario, which I think we both pegged as possibly problematic. I mean, it's there really just to freak Duane out and shoot Baldy. That's really the only thing that comes of that, and it could have happened another way. And Mulder's remarks on the missing time, is it just a gambit to gain Duane's trust? It's a bit problematic.
Yeah. I agree with that.
There's that one. And then the remarkable recovery of Duane Barry, who goes from being in critical condition to running around and kidnapping Scully. I mean, I suppose, adrenaline?
He is getting around because he didn't get a cab, that's for sure. So how the hell does he find his way to Scully's apartment?
Well, he's motivated, I guess.
He is motivated.
He's got an appointment to keep. And I suppose I've just thought of a third one, and that is... No, okay, but
throwing the flag.
I was fine until you brought it up, the idea of Sleepless, cigarette smoking man's plan for removing Scully from the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, the plan is that Duane Barry is going to bring her over to the aliens, right?
Well, obviously someone intercepted him somewhere and pointed him in the direction of Scully as someone he can take.
Yeah.
So
we're meant to intuit that is a cigarette
Maybe
smoking man,
Krychek
'cause
gave him
he's
a ride.
Get in the car.
Get in the car, sir.
It's like the bee sting in the movie. You know, it's like the careful coordination of the master
It's
plan.
not that bad, but yeah, I get you.
Well, the thing is that
I'm gonna. Okay, hold on.
you're gonna live with this one, are you?
No. I am going to retroactively defend the movie. In that, hold on. It's not written well in that moment. Where the bee sting and then she's taken hostage, which is what they wanted to do anyway, is to take her off the board. I believe, as super mega ultra X-Files fan, that obviously they were monitoring Mulder's apartment and his telephone. So when he called for an ambulance, they intercepted it and it moved their plans forward. Okay, that's how I'm going to rationalize it from now on.
You think that they had another accident lined up and they're like,
I think they were working on
convenient.
something.
Yeah.
And the bee, wait a minute. Oh, Scully's going down in the hall. Well, we're tapping his phones anyway, so let's just take over.
Well, I sure hope this little back and forth ends up in our episode about
I do
Duane
for you,
Barry.
Chris Carter, the things I will do for you.
Okay, fine. Well, all that to say, listen, despite these minor contrivances, I think it's one of the best X-Files episodes ever. I mean,
it's good.
It's got everything. Mystery, action, the jumping off point from mythology, Steve Railsback doing this amazing turn as Duane Barry. It's really, really good. And, it just goes to show when you put great actors together in an episode, you get great results as long as the script is good. And I think in this case, it really is. So, I mean, this is the driving heart of our man, Chris Carter himself, and made even more impressive that it's his first turn in the director's chair. And he does a really good job.
He knocks it out of the park directorially. And what's even more interesting to me is that this is the first of 3 episodes.
Yes.
That you could argue is the greatest arc of the show.
I will, yeah. Over the 3, sure, yeah. Of the multi-part episodes, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got this coming up, Ascension, and then 2 episodes later we have One Breath, and I think you could really make a case for it being the best 3-parter of the show.
Well, what we'll have to answer when we get to the end of One Breath is, of the 3, which is the best show?
I have my answer, but we'll see when we get there.
We'll have our answer when we get there. In the meantime, do we want to look at some listener comments?
Yeah, we do have a few today. We've got a short one. We can read all 3 of them. I really don't care if you want to take Sarah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah Lee says, gotta give a special spotlight to CCH Pounder and Duane Barry. She killed it. Just the right blend of class and badass. Absolutely.
Agreed. Yeah.
Totally agree.
She's just knocking it out of the park with directing people and kind of being funny with Mulder and giving him a hard time. I think she does a really good job.
Yeah. And she doesn't do another turn in X-Files. This is her one bit.
This is her one turn, and she got a nomination for it, so that's pretty awesome.
Once you get an Emmy, you can't come back, right?
You can't come back.
Yeah. Too much attention. You can't put a wig on her and bring her in as another character.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting attempt.
Kasdan? What are you doing here?
Although I would have actually loved if Kasdan came back, the character.
Oh, I'd see a whole show with Kasdan. My goodness.
Kasdan and Scully, the skeptic team.
That's right.
Josh says, one of my favorite multi-episode arcs in the show. It's not perfect, but I think it was the best solution to the upcoming absence of Gillian Anderson. One Breath kind of steals the show in a way, but I still think there's a lot of good here. Mulder, for once, having to put Scully first. As we all know, ladies and gentlemen, Josh does not much care for Agent Mulder. Duane Barry is great, though, and a true antagonist you can empathize with at times. 100%.
I would venture you empathize with him all the time. I mean, I think one of the things that makes this episode so good is he is so hard to dislike. you care about him because you're like, you know what's driving him. And there are other episodes where we are looking over the shoulder of the bad guy as they go with their business. But I don't think that there are any that do as good a job in essentially humanizing the villain. You know, Donnie Faster, you don't really get that. You see what he does and you're creeped out by it.
I made the comparison in the pre-show where I said it reminds me a little bit of Scully and Luther in Beyond the Sea, just a little bit. Obviously, he's a much worse character in terms of what he's done, but you still care about him. I care about him. I want him to have the closure he wants as much as I want Scully to have closure about her father in that episode. So again, it comes down to the writing, but also the actors that they have to portray these characters. And yeah.
It's a nice comparison, actually, because you care about him despite knowing how bad of a character is.
Yeah, and that's hard to do.
In this case, you don't really dislike Duane Barry for his previous actions. They're alluded to that he has hurt people in the past, but you don't know what that is. Like maybe if we knew that, he'd freaked out.
We see him knocking people out and stealing weapons and taking hostages. And yes, agreed, that's bad stuff.
Yeah.
But my point, and I think yours as well, is that he's being controlled and he is driven to the point of desperation at this point. Yeah. Like we covered in the first instance when he took Dr. Hackey. He can't take it anymore and he wants someone so desperately to believe him.
Yep. Our last comment is from Emily Messenger, who says, I'm honestly not a huge fan of either of these episodes besides the Red Speedo, because damn y'all. But I do appreciate the arc for all the things it's set up for the future. Can't wait to hear y'all's perspective on it. Well, Southern Emily, you have just done that.
Yeah.
Hope we did not let you down.
And my pants tightened for Mulder in the Speedo as well.
Yeah. I think
that's the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, well, they reference the red Speedos in the Simpsons parody, don't they? Because he fleshes his identification, and it's him lying in a seductive pose with his red Speedo.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta watch that episode again.
I hope you have all enjoyed us discuss Duane Barry. I hope you have been drinking every time it was said. I think we got up to a total of 27 Duane Barrys. If my
did you count?
I got a little counter here.
Nice.
But really enjoyed this one. I hope you did too. Mike, do you have anything you want to say to the folks before we sign off?
No. Just lock your windows and make sure there are no creepy mental patients hanging out.
Always sage advice.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at tinhxfilespod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming.